You're listening to Beyond the Measure, Episode 2. Listen as I, a young choir director, and my husband, a young composer, interview other music educators in order to gain insight into their own success in the classroom. We have a lot to learn, and we want you to learn with us. No matter your age, ensemble, or experience, this is the ideal podcast for music educators, composers, and students alike. So join us as we go beyond the measure. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Beyond the Measure. I am your host, Kara Fortner, and I have with me
Christian
Fortner, my husband. We are excited to be back for a second episode. Today's episode is going to be, I'm going to actually be interviewed by my husband, so you guys get to know me a little more and what I do. And then the next episode, I'll be interviewing Christian. So.
Yep, that's right. And this is just so that y'all can kind of get to know us a little bit better and kind of know our stories individually. In the first episode, we kind of talked a little bit about kind of how we met and everything. But in these episodes, you'll hear more about kind of our backstory.
Personal journey.
Yes, our personal lore.
Our origin.
Yeah, our origin stories. Basically, though, and what's kind of cool about it is that kind of how we interview each other in this episode and the next is kind of what you can expect with the other people we interview, is because we want to hear about, first of all, other people's origin stories, so to say, and then everything else that they did, all the big accomplishments they've done and kind of life-changing experiences they had through music. So alrighty. Well, without further ado, I guess we can go ahead and get started. So, Kara, tell us, when did you start thinking, well, first of all, how did you grow up with music, and what was music to you in your life?
Well, my dad, I always grew up with my dad playing guitar and singing in the house. And whenever he was in college, he didn't major in music or anything, but he was in like a college band, I forget what it's called, the Entertainers, yeah, that's what it's called. And so I can't really remember what exactly, but it was like pop music. So they're not like pop, you know what I mean? This is back in what, the 80s or 90s,
somewhere in there.
But anyways, yeah, they would sing at campus events. I think they toured a little bit. But yeah, anyways, I grew up with him singing and playing guitar, which led to me just kind of sing. I've never learned how to play the guitar, even though he bought me one in 6th grade and I barely touched it. I'm sorry, Dad. I've always wanted to play, but my hands are too tiny. But yeah, I sang as a little kid in the little church kids choir, and then once I got to junior high, actually even before then, elementary school, there was an elementary honor choir, like 6th grade honor choir, and I tried out for that. It took a lot of courage for me to do that because I was a very, very shy kid. Like 6th grade me would be quaking in her seat knowing that I'm like speaking in a podcast. But anyways, I tried out for the honor choir, made it, sang in there. It's a whole other story. It's not fun. But then once I got into junior high, 7th grade, I couldn't choose between band and choir. So I said, why not both? So I played the flute in band, and I was soprano in choir.
So you're basically soprano in both ensembles.
Precisely. The highest thing. Yeah.
But you didn't have the ego of either.
No.
I've always heard that.
I have the ego of an alto.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of our choir people listening are laughing right now. But yeah, I've always heard that, like, the higher the pitch, the higher the ego, whether it's, whatever instrument. So like sopranos, trumpets, flutes, violins,
tenors.
Tenors, yeah. Which I don't know, from our experience, that some usually
pretty accurate.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty accurate. So it's just kind of funny. But anyways, and where did you grow up? Like,
oh yeah, I grew up in Bedford, Texas. Fort Worth, in the Fort Worth area. DFW is like crazy about fine arts.
That's awesome.
So I grew up in a really, really good district who had, I'm blessed to have had like a good amount of support, pretty good amount of support for the fine arts. And I got really good experiences throughout.
Yeah. I was going to say, I can't wait to start interviewing people. I mean, there's so many people that we could talk to from that area that are just phenomenal at what they do.
But yes, I went to Central Junior High, and band and choir. Maybe it was 8th grade is when I got introduced to like real choral music. Like I started taking an interest, and I had a friend in choir who was pretty interested in like choral music and everything, and they showed me, I'm pretty sure it was Sleep, not Luke's Arumque. I'm pretty sure it was Sleep by Eric Whitacre. And it like literally changed my life. I had never heard anything like it. All the clashing chords, and it was awesome to hear. And that was the moment, like when I heard that was the moment I knew I wanted to pursue music. I didn't necessarily know like what exactly I wanted to do in the music field, but I knew I wanted to pursue music as a living, like for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and let me say that y'all are probably going to quickly notice that Eric Whitacre is kind of like a common theme in both of our stories, which is just kind of funny but kind of cool as well.
Yeah. So
you'll probably hear a lot of Eric Whitacre geeking out on this podcast, whether you like it or not. So I'm sorry if you're not a huge fan of that kind of thing.
Yeah. And this is just like a little side note. The school district that I grew up in, for those of you who are very knowledgeable in solfege, the common practice in Texas, at least, is using movable do solfege system. But I grew up where we use fixed do.
Yeah.
And so coming to college, it was like we learned this. This was ingrained in me since elementary school. And so, coming to college and where everybody is doing a different system, that was like, it's kind of a weird transition. But anyways, so whenever I actually went to high school, I had to choose between band or choir. And I was like, I'll make my decision when I go to the first day of June camp marching band.
And you did.
Yeah, it was the first day I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. So I was like, okay, choir it is.
Yeah. I should say that, I mean, no matter where you're listening from, at least anywhere in North America, in the United States, you probably know that marching band in Texas or in the South in general is just really intense. Well, the Fort Worth area, DFW area is one of the most intense in Texas in the South. So it was,
and my school specifically had like a big reputation for going to Grand Nats, and like my brother was in marching band whenever he was in high school, and I think I forget which year, but they went to Grand Nats and got like second place.
What school?
LD Bell High School.
LD Bell.
Yep. So I chose choir, and I made the show choir bell system.
Woohoo.
And that's where I met my best friends. This has nothing to do with music, but it has everything to do with how choir, well, I guess it does have to do with music, sure, but how community is so important in choir.
Yeah, that's where you really learn that aspect.
Yeah. I met my best friends in choir, and they were all bridesmaids in my wedding, and I talk to them every day, and I just adore them, and I have no one to thank but choir, and no one to thank but my choir teachers for putting us together. So my high school, I was in bell system, show choir, and then, regular old choir. And I think I had been pondering music education, do I want to teach? And my senior year, I had the opportunity to have like a leadership position as a student director. So,
and sorry, I was just going to ask, and who's your choir director?
Joanne Antonone. And I had two different assistant choir directors. So whenever my sophomore and junior year, it was Riza Azizi, and my senior year was Jonathan Cole. And so, yeah, I got the student director position, which basically means that sometimes I would warm up the choir. And basically I had all the responsibility if like one of the directors or Mrs. Antonone was out or had to leave for a few minutes. It was me. I was responsible for the class period. And that never really happened, but it did happen once. And this was the moment I was like, you know what? I do like teaching, and this is what I want to do. There is a time where she had to go speak about a not personal matter, but something that was happening at the time. And so she had left, and she basically said, Kara, you're up. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Have fun.
So she was gone for a pretty long time, maybe like 15, 20 minutes. And so it was just me and the girls. And so I had just I ran the class, and it was very rewarding, to see how much we could get done, even without like an actual professional in the room. And so I was like, wow, I love this. I love the teamwork. I love directing it. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but after that moment, I was like, this is it. I know that this is what I want to do. This is my calling. It
was kind of like that was your first like actual taste of what it was like to be in that leadership position.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of your inspirations, as far as wanting to go into music? It could be people, it could be teachers, or it could be, specific pieces of music, or,
Yeah. So people, obviously, well, first I want to say that my voice teacher in high school, Kelly Miyake, she was my voice teacher all 3 years, and she was one of my biggest supporters, and helped me through the all-state process, and just helped me gain the confidence that I needed to, just be a singer. So that's one of my inspirations. Obviously my choir directors who, pushed me into what I am today. My professors at Hardin-Simmons, Dr. Romines has to be at the very top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here.
He's just, first of all, the kindest man you will ever meet. And he's just so smart, and like we're rehearsing for Messiah, part 2 and 3.
As of recording this episode, we just a few hours ago we just got back from our last dress rehearsal with the full orchestra and everything.
Yeah, and we were talking about like how precise and expressive he is as a conductor, and it's so awesome to watch him, and just the way that he's poured himself into our lives and invested so much. He's invested into our time at Hardin-Simmons, and even out of Hardin-Simmons. He's I just really, really look up to him.
Well, that's kind of a good segue. Well, first of all, are there any other inspirations you want to mention?
I'll list them off, but I'm like an Oscar speech or something, but I'm not going to like go into depth if you don't want me to.
You're welcome
my
to.
voice teacher, Dr. Rich, Dr. Hollingsworth, trying to think.
Basically, like all your HSU music faculty
Right.
that you had.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh. Wendy Weeks, Ramel Derrick,
And
Lindsay Ransford, hold on, and Madison Jones. They're all choir directors in Abilene, and I student taught / observed with them, and I learned so much from them, and I definitely would not be a teacher at all if I hadn't learned from them.
Yeah, and we will definitely interview them at some point, so we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So if any of y'all are listening to this right now, we're gonna ask you to be on this podcast, so get ready. Okay, well, so that's a pretty good segue, though. When you're talking about the teachers that you had at Hardin Simmons, just tell us a little bit about your experience as being a music education major in college, and kind of what that experience was like. And just to give you a little bit of background about Hardin Simmons. So Hardin Simmons University, most of y'all probably haven't heard of it. It's a small private Christian university here in Abilene. It's a Division III school, and we have about 2,200 students total as of this year, including graduate students. So it's
very
not
tiny.
Yeah, so it's not a ginormous school. It's not like so small where you only have like 3 buildings or something like that. But I think it's the perfect size where it's large enough where you get a good variety of people, and it's not a. I mean, you can still have a nice, pretty walk across campus, and it's good. But so anyways, with that being said, just so you kind of have some context, this isn't like college experiences are different depending on what school you go to. But where we were at a smaller school, so we had a lot of these personal relationships with our professors, which is why these professors have made such an impact on our lives, not just as musicians, but as people. But I'll let you talk a little bit more about that and just your experience in general.
Okay. I went to a very, very large high school, like 2,000 kids.
That's LD Bell.
Which is, yeah. And it was very, very large. And so I was kind of looking for something different. I didn't want to go to a big university, and I was specifically looking for something faith-based. So I considered Mary Hardin Baylor, DBU, and Hardin Simmons. And obviously I chose Hardin Simmons for a lot of reasons, but to make it fast. The moment I walked on campus, they treated me like I was already a part. I was already accepted and already a student. Very, very welcoming atmosphere. And my audition, I remember after I had sung, and after I did my audition, I walked off stage, and immediately I was met by Dr. Wright, who was the director of choral activities at Hardin Simmons at the time. I was directly met with him, and he had emphasized how much he was glad that I came, and he just was very, very intentional with the words that he said, and very intentional for coming up to me. And I'm not the only one that he did that with. He did that with every single student. And that's a lot of the reason why a lot of my friends at Hardin Simmons have said, yeah, I came for Dr. Wright. And so basically community, and obviously for the music program. So, that's why I went to Hardin Simmons. My experience as a music ed major, it's essentially like a double major. I'm taking music classes along with education classes with the School of Education. So a lot of people finish in 5.5 years, maybe sometimes even 6, but I finished in 4.
Yeah. And you were able to come in with a lot of
I came in with high school credit, dual credit, and stuff like that. Otherwise, I probably would have been there longer.
Yeah. Well, going off of the double major thing, about how much of a split do you think it was between music classes and general ed classes? From what you
more. I'm pretty sure it was more music than education.
I feel like from what I remember, it was definitely more.
Yeah.
music. And as a music education major, I'm assuming, I guess it could be different at other schools, but like at Hardin-Simmons, it still is, that, whether you do the choral, you could do the choral track or the instrumental track. But no matter what you choose, you're going to be certified K through 12 for choir, band, and orchestra. So technically you could go into you could go
be a band director.
Yeah, you could go and be an orchestra.
You do not want me to be a band director
if you wanted to. Well, so then let me ask you this, just to kind of going off your experience as an education major, like, what do you like, if you could offer any advice to like any, young students that are maybe listening right now that are maybe considering being music education majors?
Oh, not like our music education majors?
Or our as well, just, anyone that's, kind of going through it or is about to or considering.
I will say the lesson plans that you have to write as a, like as an education major, you do not like almost, they do not have to be that, extensive and, detailed. Write what will work for you. I will say I have not written a single lesson plan when I started teaching. Now I have like an outline of what I'm going to teach every day and stuff like that, but it's nothing to the extent of like, oh, what are the objectives? What is the independent like, no.
I'm curious to see if we'll find people that, I'm sure there are people out there that have different approaches, so that'll be fun to talk to people about.
So that's one thing. Other is just like a lot of stuff that you're gonna learn in your time as a music ed major. Like, I don't know. I've learned more as being a first year teacher than I did, and and not saying that I didn't have a good education or anything. I had a great one, but nothing beats experience. No,
that's great. And that's not to say that like, those education classes that teach you how to do lesson plans and stuff are bad or not worth your time.
Yeah, no, it definitely sets you up for success and like, gives you an idea of what you're supposed to do. Like as a lesson plan, but they do not have to be that extensive.
Sure. And it's really good. I feel like it's just really good at like building those habits and those practices, because even if it's not for a lesson plan, you're still using that kind of skill for other things in the classroom. So, okay, cool. Well, tell us a little bit about, you're still in your first year of teaching. Tell us how has it been?
It's been interesting. It's been good. Let me just say that it's been good. I feel like it's gone better than I thought it could have. We mentioned it briefly in the first episode, but I teach middle school and high school choir in a very, very, very small school district, like 3A high school, 1C junior high. I'm pretty sure we have 400 kids at the high school or something like that. I really can't remember, but my program, my junior high program, I have over 100 kids, which is pretty large. It is. And it's been growing since the very beginning when I started. And then I'd say my high school program is like maybe a little under 50, which is significantly smaller. And I know the previous directors that worked there, and they have told me that it's been larger in the past, like very large. But anyways, I definitely, whenever I was looking for jobs, I never thought that I would be teaching at 2 campuses. And that's been hard. Having to be responsible for 7 or just like all region auditions at the junior high level and all state auditions at the high school level. So my first semester, the fall semester, I was gone a lot. I was traveling, or I was at auditions and judging, and like I remember counting Like I didn't have a free weekend at all in October.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's when the burnout really settled in.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, wow, is this how it's going to be?
And I think that's how it is for a lot of people that we've talked to. Like that's around the time when it really.
Yeah, because the newness of the school year wears off.
Yeah.
For the teachers and the kids.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, we're just doing this for a while now. And so that's the burnout and really, really happened. And I started searching for podcasts about how to prevent burnout, and I was left with zero solutions, if I'm going to be honest. It was basically like, hey, I quit. I'm no longer teaching. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sustain my career, not leave it.
Yeah. It's more of a, I only care about me and.
Yeah. And that's pretty,
attitude.
That's kind of how it is, especially this year. There's so many teachers leaving.
Yeah.
And it's because of COVID. Like, it's just sucked the fun out of everything. I'm guessing this is my first year ever, so I really have no background. But fall semester was rough mentally. I suffered a lot of doubt, imposter syndrome, anxiety, and isolation. There's no fine arts director in my district. I am the only choir teacher. There's an elementary music teacher, but I never see her because we're on different campuses. And then we have two band directors that I also. It's very difficult to see them because they have the same gig as me. They travel both to the middle school and high school. But yeah, I felt really alone. I didn't really have anybody to talk to, just kind of battling all of the doubts that I had about myself in my career. Thought I wasn't a good teacher. I thought I was, you'll probably learn soon enough that I want everything to be perfect. And knowing that I wasn't perfect right off the bat, was really hard for me to come to terms with. It was like, wow, I'm not good at this. I should quit. Because that's like my thing. I just like, oh, well, I tried this once and I wasn't good at it. So maybe that means it's not for me, which is not a good mindset.
That's a good lesson for people listening that maybe haven't started teaching yet.
Yeah. It's going to be hard no matter what, just to let you know, your first year, you're figuring out everything.
And that's not meant to discourage you.
No.
But to let you know that it's okay when it happens.
Yeah, and everyone's going to meet you with grace.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe that. Like, I didn't believe that people were like, I felt like everybody else had their eyes on me saying like, oh, let's see what Kara does. Is she going to fail or is she going to succeed? Which I'm sure nobody really cares. But
in that way.
Yeah.
They do care, but not like
right. They're not waiting for me to fail. Got through the fall semester. It wasn't until after Christmas where I kind of like felt at peace at what I was doing. I felt like I finally got a groove of what I was doing, and this semester has actually been a lot easier, even though I did the UIL concert and sight reading evaluation contest, and that was definitely stressful, but as far as like workload, I wasn't staying super late all the time and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, and I should say on top of that during the fall semester, I mean, it was hard for me to, well, it was really cool for me as your husband, just to see you finally being able to do all of that as a teacher. But at the same time, it was really hard to see how hard it was for you. And, there wasn't much that I could do aside from, just always be there and everything. So, which, by the way, if there are any spouses of not just music educators, but just educators in general, if you're listening to this, that's the best thing you can do for your teacher's spouse is to just always be there and to constantly show your support, whether it's, showing up for any events that are happening or just constantly asking them, hey, what can I do to help? Is there anything?
Or being an honorary assistant choir director.
Yeah, honorary assistant choir director.
That's what he is.
Yeah, I got the better end of the stick with that because I basically just showed up day of concert and did one or two things and did some heavy lifting, and that was it. Like, I didn't actually have to be there the whole time. So, but anyways, but I was gonna say that during that fall semester, I was also having to travel a lot. Because of my admissions counselor position, I had to go to, travel out of town to high schools and stuff for recruiting. So it was also really hard for both of us in that way because I wasn't able to always be there. So I just say that to stress the importance of being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And also, this is kind of going off subject, but it just came to my mind of like, I feel like with careers like ours, people are obviously we're not going to get paid a lot. I'm a teacher and you're a composer, and at least starting out, our salaries are pretty low.
Yeah. Salary? What is that? As a composer, I don't know what that is.
But one of the other reasons why we felt like we could pursue a career is like we had parents that were very, very supportive of our endeavors. Like I never had my parents never backed me up and was like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to be a teacher? Because you're not going to get a lot of money from it. No, they were very, very supportive, and they were always very present at my choir concerts.
For sure.
And are still very present.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
To bring it on a lighter note, because I've just kind of talked about like the hard parts.
So tell us a little bit more about, the upsides of, all the really fun stuff that's definitely happened for you.
The main thing is just the building of relationships with my students. As music educators, we have and just like fine arts in general, we have a really big advantage, to connect on a deeper level with students than like general ed classes like math and English, math, science, it's just very surface level. But with music, everybody connects with music. Yeah. And so that's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
no, that's exactly right. And when you said that, it got me to thinking, and I realized that, basically, I mean, this kind of goes for, anything, but especially for music and teaching music is like, it really just everything boils down to being relational and the relationship between people and the music. Because I'm thinking, okay, the whole point of this podcast is to be relational, is because we want to form better relationships with other music educators so that we can learn, but also so that we can kind of form a relationship with our listeners and so that they can learn as well. And then it's all about, you as a teacher connecting with your students. Yeah. It's about me as a composers connecting with music educators, and with the music itself connecting to people. So I feel like that's an important thing to just always remember, is that, we ultimately do this for relationship.
Yeah. Like the highlights of my week is just seeing my students, and not necessarily, like, of course I love making music with them and seeing what they can do musically, but just connecting with them and getting to know them as people and humans has just been amazing. And I'm blessed to have how, honestly, really well behaved my students are. The UIL process was just kind of awesome for me. I'm going to brag on my 7th and 8th grade girls. They had not ever been to UIL before. And it's been 2 years since this school has done UIL because of COVID and everything. And they were so unfamiliar, and everything was new to them. And also it was for me. Like, obviously I've been on the student side of UIL, but being on the teacher side is way different. And they did so well. They were so successful, and that really, they got to see their hard work pay off, and they were so happy.
Yeah.
And that's been probably the most rewarding experience so far.
Cool. That's great. With many more to come, I'm sure. Cool. Alrighty. Well, you kind of already talked about kind of the difficulties of being a first year teacher, and then, but also the, just the really good things that you've already been able to experience and everything. Cool. Well, I think that gives us a really good background of, kind of where you came from and where you are now. Before we wrap it up, can you just tell us a few other just random fun facts about yourself that you think, whether people should or shouldn't know, just that you want to tell them?
Let's see. I'm left-handed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's big.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'll just go through my favorites of everything. Favorite foods. I love Italian food. Spaghetti is where it's at. I can make some tomorrow.
That'd be great.
No, I need to make some tomorrow.
I love your spaghetti.
I'm pretty sure the meat is about to expire, if not already. Spaghetti, yeah, love it. Snacks, you'll find me eating Takis or Dynamitas or any type of spicy chip. You will find me eating them.
That's true. That's very true.
Favorite TV shows, I love The Office. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation, New Girl, Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Any anime fans out there?
That's right. We're okay.
There's like 2 people listening.
I know. I wonder how much. Yeah. We've only seen like 2 animes so far. We're on like our 3rd. So we're watching Hunter x Hunter right now, but we can go on a whole other discussion about that.
Death Note.
Stay tuned
good.
Stay tuned for our anime podcast. I'm sure there are plenty of those already.
And what else?
Okay, music. Favorite artists? Or composers, pieces, songs?
Harry Styles. Harry Styles.
Yeah, so I've basically...
One Direction.
I should say I've heard, as of recording this episode, Harry Styles'
He just
first single...
released his new single.
It just came out, was it 2 days ago?
Thursday.
And I've heard it nonstop, everywhere we go.
I've probably played it at least 150 times.
Yeah, I believe it. That's not an exaggeration. But I actually like it. There, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know about this one, but I actually like the one he came out with. I thought it sounded good.
But yes, I love One Direction, Harry Styles. I'm trying to see. Oh, Casey Musgraves.
Yeah.
I'm just naming like pop artists right now. Who else do I listen to?
Bon Iver.
Bon Iver. Oh.
Bon Iver is good.
Love his music.
Yeah, he's good.
I like some of Dua Lipa's stuff. I'm not like a huge fan or anything. I like her music. The 1975, Coin,
Two Door Cinema Club.
Very
nice. I think that's most of the...
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone you listen to.
On the choral aspect, obviously Eric Whitacre. I like...
more on him later.
Yeah. Fun fact, we've met him twice and interviewed with... Christian interviewed him.
Honestly, well, it's funny when you say that, like... It's like we say it like it's so cool, but what's nice about it is that so many people have actually been able to interact with him, and that's why we like him so much. Is because
he's
of how,
very, very genuine.
Yeah, and just how accessible he is.
Yeah,
and he's all about that connection and having those relationships with people. So that's what we can vouch for. That's why we like him so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Who else do I listen to? Choir related. I appreciate Jake Runestad. I don't know.
I feel bad. I don't know. Ola Yelo.
Yes.
Ola Yelo.
But I will say my favorite masterwork ever.
I know what you're gonna say.
Mozart's Requiem.
Yes. Mozart's Requiem.
Yes. Oh, you'll catch me dancing.
Yeah.
To that.
Like that. That thing is still a bop.
Life changing.
And, yeah.
Mozart. If you listen from heaven, That
you.
was genius.
Yes, it was. And thank you for, who was it that finished the Requiem? Like, because he like died like right before.
Let's go
Was
watch
it,
Amadeus.
yeah, it was Salieri. Yeah, Salieri. Because that's what the whole Amadeus movie is about. Which I'm sure that Amadeus, completely lore accurate. Okay, well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up this interview?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's totally fine. Well, thank you all for listening again. Stay tuned for next week when Kara interviews me and about my story. I don't know about you, Kara, but I'm already having fun. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
fun.
alrighty. So stay tuned and for the next episode, and we will be right back. Join us up.
I don't like that.
We are gonna have to.
Maybe our outro should just be awkward.
We'll always have an awkward outro. Ugh. I bet everyone's already like stopped the pod, like skipped to the next episode by now.
Well, if that's the case.
Well, if that's the case,
My deepest, darkest secret
is goodbye.